Trish comes back out and introduces the surprise guest for the evening, John Cena, who comes out to a big reaction and immediately announces his retirement from the WWE. It's like, oh my goodness, we've seen the end of John Cena. Well, wait, there's more. And the crowd is chanting no, and he explains why he has chosen to make this announcement in Canada. And he talks about the waves of prosperity that the company has gone through, while also eras of hardship, where only the hardcore fans stand by your side. And whether WWE was hot or WWE was cold, Canadians always showed up, and this makes it the perfect place for this announcement. He mentions Raw moving to Netflix, and he's going to be there. Next year will be his final year. January will be his final Royal Rumble. February will be his final Elimination Chamber. And Las Vegas will be his final WrestleMania, the site of the world's largest toga party. That is where his final WrestleMania will take place. And then gives a heavy push that he will answer all the questions, almost all of the questions, at the press conference, and thanks the fans, and they are planning something unforgettable, the tagline being, "The last time is now," and it goes, and his wife was in the front row, who he gave a kiss to before going to the back, and then clarified at the presser that WrestleMania will not be his last match. In fact, he's going to work all next year. He is planning to be around January to December, and he's aiming at 30 to 40 dates, he said. So it looks like he will be. So instead of just building to the big, like, Mania farewell, like, it seems like they are going to build. Like, you could really build to a show at the end of next year that is just promoted as like Ric Flair's last match, John Cena's last match. That should really be the name of the show. And
they could probably still do that for the December PLE.
Yeah, and they haven't been doing a December one for several years. I think a lot of this is going to be tied to Cena being one of the keys on Netflix and drawing people in this whole countdown taking place there. And Cena is someone that, I mean, you put his visual on that tile on Netflix, a lot of cross promotion of all of his different vehicles that he's involved in, but yeah, 2025 is going to be heavily centered around John Cena and this very lengthy farewell tour.
We should maybe talk about some of the notes about this from the press conference as well, where he said the sort of design of it was him suggesting the idea to the WWE, but the WWE coming back to him about the specific timing that they I felt it was right to do it. And I suppose very much mentioning Netflix, both in this speech and also in the press conference, as one of the reasons why WWE felt this was good time. He is an international star. Netflix, Triple H has repeated several times now, this is very much like sort of a gateway to an international boom for this company that's even bigger than maybe what it's currently experiencing. And using Cena as what almost sounds like, if not a weekly, then certainly in many cases a bi-weekly occurring character over your Netflix product, both on presumably Raw, SmackDown, or certainly pay-per-views, PLEs, is probably a fascinating and really, really great way of garnering that sort of interest. The number of dates is very surprising to me because it suggests that he'll be committing to WWE to like a pretty like loaded schedule, certainly the most loaded that he's had in years. And does it mean he takes a step away even from Hollywood in order to focus on this for an extended amount of time? The balancing act of making sure he stays injury free is going to be that much more important, but he can work a Cena style match, pretty much in any town and maybe get away with it. But I'd be curious to see how much physical risk he does take if this is, going to consist of a lot of wrestling as well.
Yeah, and for someone who's not even their future is in Hollywood, their present is in Hollywood in Cena. It's an enormous sacrifice if you're clearing your calendar for this. Like I'm sure there's going to be like I don't think you're going to see him every single week. It might allow for some projects, but like any significant vehicle, I don't think they're going to want to be risking the chance of him being hurt. And I think with Cena for this year, obviously this guy is going to be very effective in all of these markets, especially when you're getting towards like the run up to that final match. In terms of matches as well, like is it a case of like less is more? I think that, he did state 30 to 40 dates, not so much 30 to 40 matches. Like you want to make this feel special that Cena is wrestling, and maybe you get him on a bunch of the PLEs. I mean, it's going to be very strategic. Obviously, it's a year where you're establishing this on Netflix, so doing things on TV is very important as well, even more so than just drawing like the traditional way towards a pay-per-view.
Do you know how many dates like Roman Reigns was on like last year? Like, did he do 30? Like, did he do 40?
I don't
curious.
think he would have hit that number. No.
Right. So this will be more engaged than a Roman Reigns schedule as champion, right? So I and we see like with Roman's sort of like in-ring activity, you can get by being just a character without having wrestling so much, and I think that would suit Cena pretty well, both in terms of his what his physical limitations are due to his career, due to his age, but also to maximize his value for the times he is going to wrestle. So I'm curious to see how they'll treat it. Let me just also say this was a hell of a speech from him tonight. I think it always feels special as a Canadian, as a Torontonian. It always feels special when an international celebrity puts over your town and your country so strong. And I thought the words that he gave about this particular market in Canada, always being around, between the lulls of the company and also its highs, like they felt very genuine. And it's a sort of sentiment that you can only kind of come up with through experience and time. And so to me, it felt very real. So it completely lit up this crowd, when he was saying these words. I definitely think that this is going to be an example of how modern day WWE under Paul Levesque will be treating a retirement story. This will certainly be one of the biggest tests, I think, of this regime creatively today.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very likely that you build to this final match in like some kind of stadium setting. Like I think they're going to shoot for like a giant event that they believe. They don't like. WrestleMania is going to be WrestleMania. We don't need to mortgage a Cena retirement on a show that we already have, like where we feel confident enough of filling Allegiant Stadium 2 nights in a row that we can do a separate show with Cena and get the benefit of Cena throughout the year and map that out and all the different directions you can go. Like you can do the chasing the WWE's title record that they promote. Like there's all these different options. But a key of it is, as you mentioned, Wei, it is like staying healthy. And I'm certain that he's going to want to go out there and, amp up like what some of the matches that we have seen in these last few years that have been very careful. I think we can categorize them as.
Sure. But we know even at an advanced stage, you could be careful, take the wrong step, or I don't know, jump off of a ramp and break your ankle and be out for months, right?
Are we going to see John Cena's final Money in the Bank ladder match? Is that going to be one of the last?
Wasn't he kind of teasing that in the presser?
He was stating his last everything.
So he was stating, somebody was asking him, do you think you'll beat your title record? And Cena said, I have to earn my shot. And that means getting wins and also finding ways to get there, like the Royal Rumble, like the Elimination Chamber, like the Money in the Bank. So maybe you do see John Cena in a Money in the Bank.
John Cena's final Beat the Clock challenge.
That should be how he ends his career.
This is how, okay.
The way he entered.
There you go. Just writes itself. Quick notes from the press conference. I did ask John Cena about Vince McMahon. He did not want to talk about Vince McMahon, but I felt it was a relevant question to ask, and
his response was, "You can."
He wants to look
Google.
forward.
He wants to look forward, spoke a bit about TKO in that regard, and then said, if you really want my answer, you can Google it. So I guess it does confirm he still stands by a lot of what he said on the Howard Stern show.
Back in February when he addressed this on Howard Stern a few weeks after the case had been filed. Mm-hmm. And I think we did get clarity in the Cena thing because I came out of it was now in the press box, it was very hard to hear when anyone was speaking. But I think a lot of people, he never stated like December is the end date. So naturally, he never said WrestleMania was his last match, but you were left with that implication that WrestleMania would be the last match. In fact, he will be doing the whole year in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and I understand like a promo in a live setting wasn't necessarily the place to maybe give you that much detail, but he did give it in the press conference and almost like volunteered it. He said, yeah, ends at December. And then he also sort of like said beyond that, after that December,
He'll have a
retirement.
relationship with WWE, but he said he's not going to do no guest ref spots, nothing physical, but he will be attached to the WWE family. But he's looking at this as a hard line retirement, like to the point he's not going to be dancing around like involvement in the ring.
That surprises me, the fact that like he's ruling out the idea of even doing a guest ref spot, which I think like at this point anybody can do, really, until at any age. Like, is he even ruling out taking a bump, beyond that retirement date?
Listen, I mean, it's he's going to be full-time doing like Hollywood stuff that, he's getting older, like he's going to turn 48 next year. So I mean, it's probably we'll see what happens. Retirements are always forecasted one way. They don't always turn out that way. And he even brought that up, that sometimes a lot of retirements are disingenuous in pro wrestling. And he has the Mick Foley mentality that he wants his to be a real one.